Your younger self, man. I ain't gonna be here long. Not be that long. I'm gonna try not to be that long. I always say I am. But things to this. Your younger self. What could you teach your younger self? What could you let your younger self know to better your life now that can help you in the future be a better person? Some of us we're in our 50s, some of us we're in our 40s, some of us we're 60, even to the degree people that are in their 20s can go back to their younger self, teenagers, young adults, where they can say, focus on your grades, get a good education, make something of yourself, or to the point of saving more money, understand what it takes to live in this economy, what it takes to survive. You know, when it come down to it, telling your younger self, you know, hey, be more disciplined. Have a mentor. That's like one of the biggest things that I wish that I had growing up to a degree was more or less trial and error. You know, if I had a mentor that could teach me certain things, I think I would have been a lot farther. I had people that could guide me along the way, but being in the career path that I chose and certain little things I wanted to do, it was a trial and error thing to the point so I got the right person that can help me and motivate me to move into the position I want. And there's other things that now I'm elevating myself into different business and stuff like that. I need mentors for that. And it's back to trial and error again. But the thing of it is, in this day and age, it's a lot better for the young kids versus us growing up. To the degree in the 90s, the internet wasn't as big. You know, I remember in elementary school, one of the biggest games that we used to play on the computer was Oregon Trail. And Oregon Trail was the pipeline, that you hit Oregon and going across, I think, to California or something like that. I think it was California, Oregon Trail, whatever. I forgot. But I know the game was called Oregon Trail. And when it came down to it, a lot of us, we played the game, but you got people like Mr. Beast, and it was alleged that he didn't have much friends. So the reason why he started his YouTube was to, make friends and stuff. He didn't learn about the money aspect of YouTube to after the fact when he started getting a lot of subs and, getting hooked up with a lot of people. And he was like, YouTube on the brain. It was like the reason I put that Pokemon card up because the thing of it is, a lot of stuff we had as kids, if we knew now, it would make us so much money. And to the degree, it was funny because saying about the Pokemon cards, collecting them. There's a guy who plays football. He's a kicker, I think for the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken. He has a $690,000 Pokemon card. He had what they call get it graded, that you see where they give you a score of the Pokemon card, the authenticity of it, the cleanliness of the card, how it looks. They graded on that, and I guess to a degree give you a score of the card of the rating. I guess how people like it. I'm not sure my son's into that. But basically that's what that Pokemon card. But the guy, he had this regular $80 sticker on there. And you go look that card up, sometimes it's worth more, sometimes it's worth less. But the point of having these cards like that, back in the day, they they some money now. They are some money now. Shout out to the people in the building. Like I said, I'm not gonna be that long, but this is the thing. Coming into the situation, you having stuff like that. I had a story I did on a guy who had Jordans. This guy literally um been collecting Jordans since the early 90s. Like he was one of those first kids that got into a pair of Jordans, when Jordan first came out with his shoes. And to the degree he started collecting. And to his surprise, The guy had so many pair of shoes. When he had his first kid, he ended up taking his Jordan collection. He got about $500,000 for that Jordan collection and bought a house for his family. When he had I think he got his first child or some to the degree. I know they was talking about him being more of an adult and selling his shoes to provide for his family. And this guy had a collection. When I say he had the originals, that's why he got so much money for those. I'm like, I think the guy had over close to like 1,200 shoes or something like that. And you picture 1,200 shoes, let's say on average, because back then Jordans were like 80, stuff like that. You're looking at $100 a pop. So 1,200, and let's see. So 1,200, that's about 120,000 right there. That's about 120,000 if you do $100 a shoe. But the more you go up, that's when it was going to be 200. But this guy literally, I think when they showed a picture of his shoes, like you probably can Google this and find it. I think he literally had about, I would want to say about 80 pairs of Jordan 1s. And that's before they start coming out with these retros and going crazy with the colors and going crazy with different patterns on it. He took his hobby of collecting shoes and made money. This was like during the StockX era. Like if he was just to set on the shoes and put them on StockX, he probably could have got way more money because, like I said, these were the originals. And I know people that when they go buy them, they'll buy 3 pair at least every time. They'll buy 2 pair in their size, and they'll buy a pair up or a pair down. Most of the time, they buy a pair up. They buying a pair down for their kids or something like that. But going to say the least, just having a Jordan collection, just doing it for fun, and nobody had to say, man, say those shoes, man, keep them pristine, don't wear them as much, don't keep the creases in them. Like he would have his regular shoes that he would wear that he generally loved that color, but then the other ones he wouldn't wear them so much. And look at it, it turned into a $500,000 investment for him to buy a house. Stuff like that. Like I was saying about the Pokemon cards of my son. He's keeping his Pokemon cards, and one day he's gonna make some money. I'm telling him now about investing. I'm telling him about life insurance. I don't know why he think he's gonna be rich when he turn 18 from his life insurance, but I'm telling him about his life insurance and stuff like that. I'm like, hey man, follow the path, man. You know, get your money together. He's spending his money so much on Pokemon now, and I'm telling him, hey, you gotta save. I just got him this Busy Kids thing. I'm actually gonna try to promote that. I'm gonna try to get affiliates something so I can do because I made some pretty good app for kids, and they got credit cards. You can pay your chores and stuff on there. Just give them extra money, all that, to where you don't even have to really give them money permanently, and it instantly goes to the card, no problem. But yeah, to a degree, man. If I was talking to my younger self, I would really tell my younger self to be more focused on certain things that I was doing when I was younger. Kind of stop hanging around so many people that were like, I did some wild stuff growing up. I'm not even gonna lie. Like me being this person I am, I started evolving more. I've been evolving younger at my younger age, but I kind of, I wouldn't say I grew most of my friends, but my mindset was different than them. Like especially when we graduated, most of my friends didn't even have jobs. Most of my friends either was talking about going to college or didn't know what they wanted to do. And the first thing, I was already out the gate, had a full-time job working, making good money. And I used to come home and just ball out. And that was the thing with a lot of people that knew me. Like I always, because I was into fashion. I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I was always, what I'm saying, in the latest fashion. Shoe game wasn't really all the way there because I wasn't really into. I think I bought my first pair of Jordans when I became an adult. Like I think it was like 18, like 19 or so when I bought my first pair of Jordans. Other than that, like I always focused on the clothes. You know, that was always my thing with the clothes, the way you look, the way you put your stuff together. You know, so even with a lot of stuff I teach my kids, one of my sons, he's into fashion. So I tell him, hey, you know, this, that together, this go together. Like I showed him what a pair of Alexander McQueen's was. He was like, those different. I was like, nobody at your school has these Christian what is it called? Christian Lior, some shoes I seen. I just liked them because they had the rhinestones and they were different, you know. And when it comes down to it, I always tell my son, I was like, I never follow so much of the trends when everybody was wearing Louis and stuff like that. Now, if I seen a nice Louis shirt or something like that, I would like it because of the style. But just because it was a Louis Vuitton, that wasn't my thing. I pick things according to how I look and how it represented to make me feel like that. Because other than that, somebody might get on me like, man, you wearing all green, man, you look crazy. But then the outfit, everything matching, got the watch with it, you know, I might have a medallion that goes with it, something like that, the socks, all that, you know, and that's how I would, you know, dress. Like I had back in the day they had these Air Force Ones. It was like the 25th edition with the LED lights in the back when you walk. And my wife was like, "You look like a little kid with some LA gears on." For people back in the day that knew about them, if I would have kept those shoes, you know how much those shoes would be worth right now. And that's what I was talking about, talking to your younger self about investments. You know, a lot of people they have a learning curve. You know, people who get mentors, they can coach them, show them things. You know, one of my coaches, actually, I'm about to have him on my broadcast. He has a book he's writing, and it's crazy because I was telling him I'm sitting here still trying to write my book, and it's certain things I'm trying to take out, put it in, and it's more or less mentoring the young boys. I mean, girls can read it and they can get some aspect from it too, but you know, with me trying to help the younger generation, which these young boys are coming up, I think this would be a great book for them. I mean, I always talk about the name of the title is Our Fathers, and people don't think it's more or less along the line of a religious book, but the thing of it is, when I say Our Father, it's going to be about a lot of men that influence people in your life. You know, like I said, how I had my coaches, how I had my granddad, how I had my uncles, all these guys that influenced me to be the man I am now, you know. And there were some bad influences. But the thing of it was up to me to take those bad influences and play on them. Other than that, just be stable where I'm at and what I'm doing in life and you know do better for myself because at the end of the day I always grasp the understanding that nobody's going to provide a better life for me unless I do it for myself, you know. And with me being young and going through certain things in life, I started understanding that, you know, I had to get a grip on reality. That's why I always talk to my kids. My oldest son, this dude, me and him, we have our talks all the time. And, you know, it's to a degree like he's really starting to understand more into himself because, you know, with boys more or less, like he's more or less one of those carefree kids. He didn't have a rough, you know, and it was kind of crazy how my cousin um they were playing football, my youngest son, and you know, he didn't really play football. He liked soccer. You know, his mom's Jamaican, so when it comes down to it, you know, he really liked soccer, so he wasn't really into football like that. And so he didn't really play it, he'll watch it. So he was playing tackle one time. It was crazy because he threw the ball in there, didn't want to get hit. And they was like, "What's wrong with him?" And I was like, what do you mean what's wrong with him? You don't know how to play the sport. He just didn't want to get hit. And he was like, "Well, he's different." And not a shot to my cousin, but it was like, you know, he got into a situation to where his, you know, life is not really pleasant. He's on his vacation. I always say to people who, you know, do their time, they on vacation. And I would always tell them, you know, he's not as boring or weird as, you know, he is, because he lived his life different, and it all goes down to the circumstances that you're in. And, that's like for people that's in jail. If they could talk to their younger self, they'll say, hey, man, go to school, get education. Stop trying to be a thug. Stop trying to hang out with these guys that mean you no good. Because at the end of the day, like, I can be 100 with you and I can give you the game, but it's to a degree where a lot of these young kids, they got to have life lessons. They got to have life teaching. I stand by that. If you don't learn from life, life will teach you. And that goes for a lot of adults. A lot of adults never grasp the concept of actually living for purpose, living for understanding, and also living to gain more knowledge. You know, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly trying to enhance my knowledge. I'm constantly trying to be a better person. Nobody's perfect, but at the same time, we can try to be perfect. We know nobody's perfect, but you can strive to be perfect. You can try to enhance certain ways, in life to better yourself. You know, being a younger version of you and the mindset you have now, you can go as far as the stars. If I knew about stock when I was younger, if I knew about 401k, if I knew about, no way, I know about the life insurance, but if I knew about universal life, I thought it was just two life insurance. I would have been had a universal life insurance. Don't you know? I'm 40 now. I had life insurance when I was at least 19 years old. Then I ended up buying some more in my 20s. Then buying some more, and like the policies lapsed or some because you know sometimes just set it and forget it. I have it monthly taken out. I close an account and forgot I had my life insurance attached to it. But if I always would have kept that account open, you know how much more money I would have had? It needs about 10 years for your policy to mature. If I had a universal life insurance and the type of money I was making in my younger years, and I started investing in that, I stayed at that job for at least about 10 years. At least 10 years. If I would have took that money that I had within 10 years and that policy matured, you know what it put me in? I would have ended up purchasing more things, doing more elevating, but I didn't have the knowledge. And I always say this to my wife when I talk about my daughter. And it's crazy because I always say my daughter got her blue belt because she went through the course but didn't finish the lesson. She didn't become a black belt. And I think the black is pretty much the highest you can get. But she didn't finish the course, so she didn't get the belt. You know, that's a lot of people. A lot of us are walking around pretty much mediocre mindset. There aren't too many people that have elevated their life. Kevin Gates is one of them. I could say this guy elevated his life, like his passion, the way he, grind, his mindset, he moves. Not saying that he don't make mistakes, but to the point of being, you know, elevating himself is pretty much one of the things I've seen from him. You have somebody like Billy Carson. Billy Carson, phenomenal mindset, phenomenal information, like tapping in to certain things. Billy Carson, I watch this guy all the time, not just on the esoteric things and the phenomenal stuff that he knows and deals with Egypt and the pyramids. I mean, just on his mindset, the way he presents things. How he says he talked to himself as if he's listening and talking back to himself, and he takes himself and have an outer body experience, like he's looking at himself giving presentations. Like, who thinks of stuff like that? So, having that mindset to where you can go back to your youth and teach them something, what would you teach them? So if that's the thing, what you would teach them, put that onto your kids. Give that game to your nieces and nephews. You know, I was talking to one of my friends. I exactly told him the same thing. I said, you know, you don't have kids, and I got to squeeze a little life insurance in this. I said, you don't have kids, but at the same time, what will happen to you when you die? And he was like, well, I die, get buried, this and that. I said, the number one thing, who's gonna bury you? How much is it gonna cost? Who's paying for it? I said, it's good that you got money in your account. Who knows your PIN code? Because all that stuff get locked when you die. You know, your accounts get froze. You know, once the bank notify you're dead, the accounts get froze. Once the situation of you trying to do certain things, you can't do it without that person. Was it power of attorney? It only goes what so far. When you willing and dealing in situations, exactly like I told him as well, and I'm gonna jump off of here. You got to pay for your burial. You're gonna be a burden. Now I always talk about my great grandma telling people, you don't want to be a burden to nobody. I always push this to guys who have kids, whether you with that mom or not. You need to have life insurance. How you gonna benefit your child without having life insurance? If anything was to happen to you, how your child gonna get their first car? I told my wife that's a minimum for me. My kids should get their first car if something ever happens to me through my life insurance. I'm teaching my kids, hey, do this, learn how to do this, get this together. Because these are the things that I would tell my younger self. Like I'm telling my son now, he has all his Jordans and shoes and stuff. I'm like, keep them in pristine. Don't wear them as much. Go get you another pair of shoes and wear them all the time. Wear them out. I was like, if anything, go get two pairs of shoes. We can have one in pristine, ain't been touched, still in the box. You get to a point we can vacuum seal these shoes. You know how many adults buy kid shoes just to have their younger kids in style, because they don't make those shoes, they don't reissue those shoes like they do the adults as much. And to a degree they have a color, yeah, all of them come out, but certain colors they're not reissuing those as well, because if they didn't do as well on them, they're not going to reissue them. They're going to come out with another design, or they might come out with the ones that people like the most popular ones. The ones that are hard to get because they didn't make as many, they didn't think we were gonna sell. So hey, those are the ones turn out being legendary once people start getting them or going back and looking at them. Those ones end up being legendary. Legendary. But like I say, man, when it comes down to it, a lot of us we have situations to where we don't have no mentors. Get in the game, get you a mentor, and let me say this real quick before I hop off here. Shout out Miss V. Make this go viral right here. LLC. When it comes down to it, she puts a lot of information out for people who starting their channels, Nightbot, how to once you hit a certain subscribers, what needs to be done to your channel, what are YouTube updates, how they doing things. The biggest thing for you to do is if you're gonna do this YouTube, learn the information. You know, looking at all the top YouTubers and see how they do things. If you want to be like them, you gotta mimic them. So with that being said, shout out to everybody come through. You know my motto I always say, we here and we gone.